So, to begin with, let's talk about what we learned yesterday and make sure that actually stuck. What kind of a graph is this? Don't talk now. Don't talk now. What? Graph? Yeah, it's a logistic model. That's a fair statement. A basic logistic graph is the official name that you'd see on the list of the 12 important functions of Precalc. This is one of them. And it's important because it's exponential. It goes up like this, like an exponential does, but then all of a sudden, it makes a turn and starts leveling off. That is a basic logistic graph. And it's got a limit here of 50. What if I wanted to know its starting value? Would I just look right there? No, I would not. You'd put in 0 for x, because the y-intercept is what this is where x is 0. So if you put in a 0 right here, then this becomes 2 times 0, which becomes a 0. E to the 0 becomes 1. 3 times 1 becomes 3. 1 plus 3 becomes 4. And the answer would be 50 over 4. That answer right there is 50/4. And it's a spot, something comma something, so it'd be 0 comma 50/4. That'd be like 0 comma 12.5 to be exact. All right, so how did I get that? Well, you would be expected to know what the y-intercept or the starting value is of this. And a lot of people would have said 3. Thank you for not being one of those people. You don't just take this number. That's not the starting value. So let's do one of those right now where I give you the starting number, and let's say it's 0 comma 10. And I give you another point. Let's say it's 8 comma 30. And we say it limits out. Just flip it to the back side of the worksheet. There's some empty spots in the very, very end. Okay. Try making this basic logistic. Make the equation for it. If the limit of the growth here is going to be 90. So you'd start with y equals 90 over 1 plus ab to the x, and then you got to figure out a and b by using this and that. Practice a few of the things from yesterday first, and then we'll make sure we cover the second half of your packet. I'm going to pause for a second while you finish this. Oh, question? That is 0 comma 10 as the starting value and 8 comma 30 as the other point. Remember, you start with the 0 comma 10 when you're figuring out 0 here, 10 here. When you're figuring out the starting value, you cannot just slap the 10 in for a. It will not work. It's not right. Okay, I'll pause while you work on that for a minute. All right, so here we go. If I put in a 0 and a 10, this part becomes 1. And then I have 10 plus 90 over 1. Oh, 10, I already made a mistake. 10 equals 90 over 1 plus a. Now I'm going to multiply by 1 plus a on the left and the right, and I'll have 10 times 1 plus a equals 90. Now here, a lot of people would distribute the 10. Do not do that. Divide by 10. It's so much easier. Divide by 10, divide by 10. My goal is to get a alone, right? So I can get rid of the 10 and then get rid of the 1. Cancels, and this becomes 9. 1 plus a equals 9. So then I just subtract 1. A equals 8. Raise your hand if you had a equals 8. Excellent. Now I'm going to go on to y equals, wait. Will it work? Yes, it'll still work. It's just way harder. Okay? It just takes longer, and you still get the same answer of a equals 8, but it's way harder. Okay, so final answer then, y equals 90 over 1 plus 8b to the x. What's wrong with that? Why can't I stop it there? I don't know what b is yet, so I put in the other point. I want to put in 8 comma 30. 8 goes here, 30 goes here, right? So then I go 30 equals 90 over 1 plus 8b to the 8th. Now I'm going to try to get the b alone. I got to multiply both sides by this denominator to clear my fraction. You get how it was important at the beginning of the year? The kids understand how to clear fractions because we do it all the time. 30 times the 1 plus 8b to the 8th equals 90. Now, again, you could distribute the 30 out here, but it'd be smarter not to. If I divide by 30 here, divide by 30 here, it's going to make it way easier. Because now 90 divided by 30 is a nice number, 3. I have 1 plus 8b to the 8th equals 3. Subtract 1 from both sides. 8b to the 8th is equal to 3 minus 1 is 2. Divide by 8. b to the 8th is equal to 2/8, which is the same as 1/4. I'm getting close. And then b is equal to, I'm going to put both of them to the power of 1/8. and I have 1 over x to the 1/8 power. That is pretty awful. I'm going to make it, you could leave it like that, but I'm going to make it like this. X to the negative 1 is the same as 1 over x, right? To the 1/8, and that's the same as x to the negative 1/8.
Go back to when you had, get back to when you had 8b to the 8 equals 2.
Okay. How about I had 3 right there? Do you agree with that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Do you agree with the whole 8b to the 8th equals 2 thing? Okay. Now I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And 1/8. Why is there an x on the bottom? Who put that x on the bottom? That's it. Oh, I get it. That's an 8. That's me writing an 8 really fast, and the top didn't show up. See, there's a top of the 8, and here's the bottom of the 8. And I couldn't read my own writing. All right, fine. It's a 4, and I couldn't even read that. So, sorry. Start over again. From there, not from the top, from this measure. Okay, so I divided by 8 on the top and the bottom, and 2/8 is 1/4. There we go. Okay. 1/4 to the 1/8, and I'm going to still go through and do that rewrite I was talking about. I'd really rather have this 1/4 become 4 to the negative 1 to the 1/8, and that would be 4 to the negative 1/8. Now, do you have to do it that way? No, you can do it this way. This is fine. 1/4 to the 1/8 power. That's okay. All right, so then, final answer. Y equals 90 was the limit to growth, right? I think. Okay. Over 1 plus the A was 8, and then the B is this thing I got to decide between the two. I'm going to choose to use my neato one at the end. 4 to the negative 1/8, and then the X. I can put it right on the top of this, or I can just put X right there. There we go. If you instead used the other thing right here, which was 1/4 to the 1/8 power, that was great too. All right, it's tough, but that's a typical question. Can you have a fraction in a fraction? You can't leave a fraction in a fraction. Do you want me to show you how to handle it? So let's say you had a 1/4 over 1/8. You flip and multiply. You go times, flip that, 8 over 1. No, remember that? Okay. All right. Now, let's go on in your packet to more stuff. Look at number 22. Yes, question? Yes, I said you could do 1/4 to the 1/8 power, and that would be all right. Okay, move to 22. Number 22 is one of those kind where you're condensing things. Okay, so I don't think I need to do 22. That's really easy. Let's go to 22b. 22b is more of a challenge. Log base 2 of 48. Right away, I'm thinking, can I simplify that? Can I make 48 into 2 to a power? And no, I can't. I can get 16, I can get 32. 2 to the 5th is 32. But I could get 64, but I can't get 48. So I'm going to have to combine that with this next one. Minus 1/3, and right away I'm thinking, let's move that 1/3 up to an exponent position. Log base 2 of 27. And as soon as I move this 1/3 up here, do you realize that 27 to the 1/3 is something you know? It's 3. So now all of a sudden the problem's way easier. It's log base 2 of 48 minus log base 2 of 3. And now it's just a simple combine. And if it's a combine and you got a minus in there, are you going to divide them or multiply them? Divide them. So 48 divided by 3 is a nice number. What is it? So log base 2 of 16. If I left it like that, I would cry because Mr. Server would mark it wrong. Because it's 2 to the 4th, and then log base 2 of 2 to the 4th would be 4. Okay. That's a typical combining question. They get more complicated, of course. Let's look at, for instance, number 8. No, G, sorry, that's a G. The G is log base 8 of root 80. And right away, when I see root 80, I'm thinking, put that as an 80 to the 1/2 power. Because, you know, a square root means 1/2 power. minus log base 8 of root 5. So right away, I would rewrite these puppies as 80 to the 1/2 power and 5 to the 1/2 power. Why is that any better? Because then when I simplify this, I'm going to put that down in front and say 1/2 log base 8 of 80. And I'm going to say minus 1/2 log base 8 of 5. And now when I put them all together, I'll have 1/2 log base 8 of 80 over 5. And then you just got to know what 80 divided by 5 is, and then you're pretty much done. There's probably a little bit more. But the point on this one was that when you see a square root, write it as a power that's a fraction. Same thing carries over into problem 23. Would you look at 23C as in catfish? 23C. Log base 3 of the cube root of x plus 1. I'm going to not even write it that way. I'm going to write it this way. X plus 1 to the 1/3 power. Because cube root means that. Then I can drop that 1/3 down into the front. And the goal of these is to expand them. So I want to bring this down to the front. 1/3 log 3 x plus 1. Now I want to expand it more. Can I expand an x plus 1 more? No, I can't. Well, I got to see if there's any way I can split it. I can't split up the plus. I don't think I can expand that anymore. I think it's done. Okay. Let's do one like F as in Frankfurter. That one says ln of 5 over x minus 2. And this divide here is begging to be broken up into a subtract. ln 5 minus ln of x minus 2. And then this is kind of just testing you on, do you know if you can break that up or not? Can you break that up or not? You cannot. Cannot. If that had been a multiply, you could turn it into an add. If that would have been a divide, you could turn it into a subtract. But starting as a subtract like that, in the middle, you can't turn that into a divide. I know it might seem like it. This one you can turn into a divide. But when it's on the inside of the parentheses like that, you can't turn that into anything. Don't try to break that up. Okay, so that is it. All right, let's move on to problems like number 24. Now, some of you think U substitution right away. That's only if it's going to be a quadratic. And on number 24A, it is not a quadratic. It is 4e to the x. It has an e to the x in it. That doesn't mean we want to U substitute. A lot of people did that on the last test where they didn't really want to. Plus 5 equals 70. Your first step is to get this to be just an exponential. Get the green thing here alone. Then it'll be an exponential, and then you can rewrite it. You can't rewrite it until that green thing's alone. So I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. I'll have 4e to the x minus 2 is equal to 65. Then I'm going to get rid of the 4. Divide by 4, divide by 4. I'm going to save me some time and just go like this. They my 4's cancel. Now I just have to rewrite. This is a crucial skill. Would you please try to rewrite it from there? And I'll tell you whether you rewrote it correctly. This is number 24A. If you've already done it, awesome. If you haven't, hurry up and try it right now. So, Mr. B, what's this turn into? A log? Base? Yep. Of? Yep. And then? Yes. And then a lot of times kids get lost in these like, what was I trying to do anyway? What are you trying to do? Find the x. Get the x alone. So we got to do what? Add 2. Almost done. So when I add 2 here, of course, this disappears. But where do I put the plus 2? On the outside. You can't just slap it in here. That would be wrong. I know. Okay. But you probably meant you could put it there or you could put it here. And you're right about that. Okay. No, you did not get it wrong. All right. Number 8, or letter H. Let's look at H as in hamburger. It's x log 1/4. equals log 256. All right, so if I'm trying to get the x alone, is the x alone? No. Can I just move this whole thing as a chunk? Yes. What can I do to both sides? Divide both sides by log of 1/4. Have you ever seen something like that before? Yeah, when you do a base change. Do you remember doing that? So this is a way your calculator would be able to handle it. See, these will cancel, and x is equal to that, which is a base change. Now, if I was typing it into a calculator, I would say log 256 over log 0.25. That way I don't have to have parentheses around this 1/4. But it wouldn't be that hard to put the parentheses around it. Okay, so am I done? Is that good enough? Yes, it is. Unless you can find a way to simplify it. Oh.
256 is
Oh, that's nasty. 256 is what to the what? 2 to the 8th? Oh, wicked. So then it's going to be log of 2 to the 8th. Holy cow, I didn't even know that one. Over log of, I could rewrite that. I can't write log, but I could rewrite that. Okay. Well, I don't think I made it really weird. I think I've made it great. But do you have a different way?
You could have made it log 1/4. Then you can put the x to the power, so log 1/4.
Okay, hold on. I want to finish what I'm doing because I don't want to like leave it hanging this way. So let me just finish this. The 1/4 can be 2 to the what?
Negative.
To the negative second. All right. Now, I agree. This is looking kind of messy. And so now I'll accept your option of a different way. So I'm going to go back in time here and go back to here. And you're suggesting, I noticed that right away that 256 is 2 to the 8th, which I didn't know.
Log 1/4 to the x and the log.
Okay, hold on. So you're saying put this x up here?
Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. Oh, wicked. I like it. Okay. 1/4 to the x equals 256. Now it's going to be handy to know that whole base change thing that you were talking about. 1/4 is 2 to the negative 2 to the x equals 256 is 2 to the 8th. And then I can cancel these, and then it's negative 2x equals 8. And that is nice and simple. Negative 4. That is by far a superior way to do it. You're right. And there are lots of ways to do these problems. Sit down. We're almost to lunch, but not yet. I'm not just going to go because you rushed the front of the room. Okay. So, there's lots of ways to do these problems. Have you heard the saying, there's lots of ways to skin a cat? It's true, even though it sounds really awful. It's an old saying, and I got to probably remove that from my vocabulary because nobody knows it anymore, and it just makes me sound like an animal hater. But I like animals. All right, time to go to lunch. All right, so here we go. We're going to go with one last one after lunch here, and that is going to be N as in Nancy, the very last one in the packet. So let's give you some help on that. Find it. Log base 3x squared is equal, well, minus 4. You're right, except we got to fix something first before we rewrite it. What do we fix first? That needs to go to the other side. Get that? If there had been a parentheses, I wouldn't be able to do that, but there's no parentheses holding it in, you know? There's no parentheses like that. So I'm going to put that 4 to the other side. Log base 3 of x squared is equal to positive 4 going over there makes positive 2. Then what? 3 squared equals x squared. And then if I do the square root thing, oh, be careful. For the 45th time, when you do the square root on both sides, I need absolute value of x is equal to 3. And therefore, you'll have 2 answers. What happens at the very end? Are they guaranteed to both work? No, you need to check them. Is there a chance that one of them might make it in this case, it can't make it extraneous because when I throw a negative in there, it gets squared. And so both of these answers work. All right. Okay, so you guys don't interrupt. If you work on this packet then for the rest of the hour and you check them and you get home and you make sure that you did them right, really, take the time. This is your last chance. If you really want to make a difference in your grade in this class, A lot of you would say, okay, I'm at 88 and I really want to get to a 90%. Okay, you're going to need 2% more. When you have a cumulative test that covers 4 tests and you could replace 4 old test scores with this one test, do you think that means it's kind of important? It's effectively worth 4 tests at once. All you have to have done is your corrections, which are pretty much made you do in class, and you have to have your homework done. Does that have to mean that you have to have it all done by the day of the test? Yep. If you wanted this to count as a corrections or a retake, you need to have done your corrections and homework. So do you have to have your homework in by tomorrow? Yes. If you have your homework all in by tomorrow for those units, then you'd qualify for retaking any of them. So look on Skyward tonight. If you're missing any junk, get it done. Okay, that's my advice for today.